All right, I've given my third watch to Halloween Kills, and now I'm going to give you my top 10 moments. But first, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit the bell. That way, you know every time I post a new video. All right, so last night I gave Halloween Kills a third watch. And I wanted to go ahead and put together my top 10 moments. If you saw my last video, you know that I love the entire movie top to bottom. So it's hard to put together just 10. And I think in the next video, I'll put together a best and worst and maybe include some more good moments in there. But let's get this thing started. So I have a list here. So coming in at number 10 was Tommy's death scene at the very end of the film. Um, I love that the way he went out. I think he needed to die in this movie. I said in a previous video that I thought he would die in this movie. I didn't think he was going to make it in Halloween Ends, and that's exactly what happened. And that movie, that scene was great because just the look in Tommy's face when he takes that knife to the gut, and him and Michael stare at each other for a few moments right before Tommy drops, and then Michael kind of hits him right in the face with that bat. That moment was just amazing to me. I loved it. So that's my number 10 spot. Where's my number 9? Sorry, my list is completely out of order, so I'm looking for everything here. Number 9 is Cameron's death scene. One of the best death scenes in the movie for sure. There were a lot of them, but this one in particular, I thought was great. I mean, the battle between Cameron and Michael for a brief second was pretty cool because, to me, Cameron redeemed himself in this moment, right? Because if you remember 2018, he kissed the other girl, and him and Allison, I guess, broke up or whatever. So everyone went into this movie thinking Cameron's a big douchebag and he deserves to die, and he probably did. But he redeemed himself in this scene. He took on Michael. I mean, not really. He got killed off pretty fast, but he tried. He came to Allison's aid. He went and chased down Michael with Lonnie and Tommy Doyle and everyone. He got involved for her. So I think he redeemed himself, and his death scene is just wow. I mean, Mike beat the shit out of him. And then that ending, Michael comes down the stairs, takes a few steps down, looks over and realizes, oh, he's still alive. Looks over at Allison, looks back at Cameron, and snaps his neck right in front of her. Um, and that scene, just that was such a strong moment to see her reaction to watching her boyfriend die right in front of her. This person that came to her aid to redeem himself. So super good moment for me. Number 8 is toward the beginning of the movie. Marion, Lindsay, the nurse, and the doctor when they go over to the park. I love this scene. I thought the scene had a ton of suspense in it, which was what was missing from 18. I've mentioned that a lot of times before. So we got that suspense back in this scene here. Lindsay. Well, let's not even start with Lindsay, right? We talk about Michael on the back of the car, and Marion sees Michael in the rearview mirror, and he jumps up on the car, and then that kind of sets everything in motion. She puts the mask, or Michael puts the mask on the windshield, she shoots it, and just the entire death scene of everyone involved there, except for Lindsay, who obviously survives it. My favorite moment from that was actually the lady dressed as the nurse when she shoots herself. He hits her with the door, and she spins the gun around, shoots herself in the head. I laughed hysterically at that part. But definitely one of the best scenes in the movie. And it had a ton of suspense, especially after the car scene. Going back to Lindsay, where he chases her through the park, and she hides behind the tree, and he's just standing there looking around, and you could hear her breath, like she's trying to hold her breath in, and you don't know if he's gonna hear it or not. At one point, you think he does. Super suspenseful scene. I love that. So that was number 8. Going into number 7. Oh, when Myers breaks into the house of the husband and wife, the lady driving the drone. And if you remember, she's also the caretaker at the cemetery in 2018. which it hadn't clicked with me the first time that I watched the movie. I completely missed that. So last night watching it again, I was like, oh, wait a minute. That's where I recognize her from. So it was cool to see that return. So it seems like every time I watch it, I pick up on something different. But that scene was amazing. I mean, the old man getting his head whacked against the wall and then dragged through the window. Her taking the light bulb through the neck. And then my favorite part of that, obviously, is when he puts the man on the table, and it's like he's testing which knife is going to be better for him. He picks up one knife, puts it through him, doesn't like it, reaches for another one, puts it through him, doesn't like it, reaches for another one. Like, it's such a brutal scene. It was almost like he was having fun doing that. And just wow. And I wonder if she survives that because I mean she was alive during that scene. You could see her face. Her eyes were moving. She was watching her husband get killed. So I wonder if she's gonna survive that. And have some kind of. I doubt she'll have any kind of story arc going in Halloween Ends or if she even makes an appearance. But maybe she'll kind of tell her story or something. I don't know. Going into number what was that, number 7? So we're going to number 6. What do I have at 6? Okay. This one I struggled with. I didn't know whether to put it higher on the list or leave it where it is just because there's so many good moments. But number 6 is the appearance of Dr. Loomis. I love this. I've heard some mixed reviews on it. I thought this was a moment I had been waiting for since they announced that Dr. Loomis would be in this movie. And originally they said he would be CGI'd and that's fine too. But to see like the makeup effects, the practical effects that Chris Nelson did with this guy who's not even an actor, he's a set designer. He's done a ton of other movies, and he was on 2018 as a set designer and Howlin' Kills. But he had a slight resemblance to Dr. Loomis, and Chris Nelson was able to, get a bunch of prosthetics and really make up the Loomis look. And he nailed it. It was believable. The voice not as much, which is fine. Like I said in my previous video, you're not gonna nail Donald Pleasant's voice. It's just not gonna happen. But you can get close, and that was close. It was good. And it was just exciting to see Dr. Loomis again, even if how briefly it was. And we see him twice. We see him later in the movie as well, where Hawkins is thinking back to when he stopped Loomis from shooting Michael in the head when they apprehended him. So we see him twice, but it's very brief. But it was just so exciting to me to see that. I had waited so long, since they announced it. That's one of the things that really got me excited about this film. So that's number 6, the appearance of Dr. Loomis. Number 5 takes place in the same part of the movie, the flashback, and that's another one I struggled because that's pretty. I wanted to put that higher, but I had other moments that I thought should have been higher. The flashback. Wow. I mean, like I said in the previous video, it had me feeling like it was 1978 and I was sitting in the theater during the release of the original movie watching some deleted scenes. Like, it was just wow. I mean, they nailed the look, the camera angles, the color, I mean, the uniforms, the neighborhood, the house. And it's the slight differences that they made sure to capture. They didn't miss, like the piece of the gutter hanging down on the Myers house, right at the exact spot that it is in the original movie. Like, it's a small things. They mention the dog in the dead dog in the original movie, but we never see it. Now we see it, and it's there, and it's the slight little things that could have easily been overlooked, but they didn't overlook them. They got them into the movie, and it just another scene just like Dr. Loomis that I was very excited to see, and it could have easily gone wrong, but they got it right. So that's my number 5. Number 4, another one I struggled with. I wanted to put it a little lower, but it's one of those standout scenes to me, and that's Karen taunting Michael and leading him into the trap with the mob with the mask. What a scene! I mean, he's in this fight with Allison, who I don't know how she's holding him off. I mean, with the power that he has, she's holding back this knife, which could have been pure adrenaline. That's such an amazing scene. And then she says, "Do it," and Karen pops up and puts that rake right through his back, takes him down, steps on the back of his neck, and rips his mask off. Like Karen Strode, like when you look at 2018, it's almost not even the same Karen Strode. That was a happy-go-lucky Karen Strode who, remember, she believed that there was nothing but love and happiness in the world. And this is a different Karen Strode. This is the Karen Strode that was trained by Laurie for this moment. And she came off like a complete badass, taking on Michael, stepping on his neck, ripping his mask off, and then standing at the steps of the house, holding his mask in front of him like, "I dare you to come get it." That could have easily gone wrong for her, because had he captured her before he went into the trap, should have been done. And of course, we learned she gets killed, but what a moment. I think Karen was a standout character in this film, and ended up being one of my favorites. And I'm sure I'll do a like top 10 characters or something in a later video. And I expect her to be pretty high up on that list because of the badass that she turned out to be in this movie. Even more so than Allison. I expected Allison to be the badass of this movie, and it wasn't. It was Karen. Holy shit. All right, so that was my number 4. What's number 3? Oh, okay. Immediately following that, Michael surviving the mob and jumping back into action. I mean, they did a number on him right after Karen leads him into the trap. All the headlights from the cars come on, and he's surrounded by the town. And they go to town on him. I mean, I believe I counted 5 bullets. I originally thought it was 4. I think I counted 5 last night, just for the sake of doing this review. 5 bullets. And then they beat him with the 2x4s, and Tommy with the baseball bat. He was stabbed multiple times. And then Karen, the badass again. At the very end, Tommy says, "Go home, be with your daughter." And for her, it's like, hold on, 1 minute. Picks up the knife, puts it right through his fucking spine, and then walks away. Who survives that kind of thing? Michael Myers, right? I mean, him just jumping right back into action and taking on the town as if none of that happened. He'd never been shot. You combine that with the 6 shots he took in 78. That, to me, this moment says he is superhuman. Right, and I'll be the first to admit, I argued against the superhuman aspect because, you listen to David Gordon Green, and he really wanted to make it known that Michael was a human being in this movie. He was not supernatural. At this point, I have to disagree. I have to think he's leading us in a different direction and just doesn't want us to know. There's no way. There's no way anyone survives what happened to him in that moment. But he gets up as if it never happened. That takes more than adrenaline. So, and I'm a fan of the supernatural Michael Myers. I know it's a mixed bag with that. A lot of fans don't like it. I love the direction of Halloween 4, and he's just wakes up when he hears Jamie Lloyd's that she's alive. Stuff like that. Like, I just love the supernatural Michael Myers. I kind of like the Thorn Cult. I wish they would have wrote it differently, but I liked it. So I don't think we're going to go anywhere near any of that, but I'm going to say he's supernatural at this point. I have to believe that. And maybe I'll change my mind in the future depending on what I learn about Halloween Ends as the year progresses. But right now, I believe he's supernatural. Anyway, so going into number 2. Michael escapes the fire. That moment, it was everything that I think we expected it to be, right? We all saw the trailers and the teasers and him coming out of that fire. And, and like I said in my previous video, what we saw in the trailer was cut up pretty fast. So we didn't get to see that full extent. But once we got to see that really set the tone for the Michael Myers we were going to get in this movie. That moment when he walks out of the house and stops on the porch, and the look in that firefighter's face, his eyes get huge, and holy shit. And it's almost like they all realize we're fucked. And sure enough, I mean, him putting the saw, taking off the one guy's head, using the Halligan tool to pick up that one firefighter, which is another thing that to me suggests he's superhuman. I mean, it could be adrenaline or whatever, but the man's 61 years old in this movie, and he just picked that guy up like nothing. What a great scene! It was such a massacre, and the movie's Halloween Kills, and this scene sets the tone for Halloween Kills. It lets us know who we're dealing with for the next hour and change of this movie. So absolutely, hands down, one of my favorite scenes. That was number 2. So my number 1 moment, and again, we're going back to Karen Strode. She had to be my favorite character in this movie at this point. And that's gonna be the final scene. I was very happy with the ending of this movie. And that's another thing. I know that's a mixed bag as well. I've seen, thousands of comments on different Facebook groups and YouTube videos, and different YouTube reviews, and some love the ending, some hate it. It's such a mix. I'm one of those people that absolutely loved that ending scene. Like I said, after he just pops up after the mob attacks him and he kills everyone, and then it's that monologue that really did it for me. The Laurie Strode monologue. She's talking to Hawkins, and that's the scene where we get the speech about how he transcends the more he kills, and that no normal man could have survived what he survived. And it's going to take more than force, right? More than that beating they gave him to keep him down, right? That another suggestion to me that he's superhuman. But one of the things that we got in 1978 that were missing from every movie after that were quotables, right? We had the Dr. Loomis quotables from part 1. We had a bunch of them. Those were largely missing from a lot of the sequels, in my opinion. And in this movie, the quotables happen in that moment at the very end. Laurie Strode. And the music in the background, that soundtrack, with everything that she's saying in that monologue, with everything that's happening as he's killing the mob, and of course, that ending scene with Karen. She looks up at that window and she sees 6-year-old Michael Myers standing in Judith Myers' room, staring out the window. And I said before, I don't think that she actually saw him. I think that was for us, for the audience, to give some perspective to her thoughts. So I don't think it's not like a ghost. She physically saw him there. I think it was just what was in her mind, and they had to translate that to us as the audience. And wow, I mean, it came off well. I mean, her coming up the stairs, and maybe she's wondering, what is it about this house? What is it about that room? What is it that drew him to do what he did and have to come back to this place? What was it? And I don't know if she went up there to just look out the window to see if it gave her some perspective, but that moment where he stepped out from behind her and she screamed, and then we got the 1978 scene all over again. We watched Michael Myers kill Karen Strode the same way he killed Judith Myers, standing in the same spot. That to me was insane, and the best moment of the movie. I mean, I walked out of the theater thinking, what the fuck just happened? And excited for Halloween Ends. That moment made me so excited to see what happens going into next year. So that's my top 10 best moments from Kills. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. What were some of your best moments? You can give me a top 10. You can just give me your top moment. Give me your worst moments. That's okay too. Let me know what you guys think. I'm very interested to hear about it and talk some more about it in future videos. And that's all, guys. So I'll see you in my next video.